We appreciate everything that you all are doing. Everybody who came in here tonight, we appreciate you all for coming here. But we have to continue these works, and freedom ain't free. Ain't nothing revolutionary about being broke. Ain't nothing revolutionary about being broke. We have to be able to continue to keep the lights on. BG&E is kicking our butts. But we ain't gonna pay. But we ain't gonna pay our people in here neither? Is that what we saying? Faith without works is dead. That means that whatever y'all heard today didn't mean nothing to you if you ain't putting up nothing. So right now I want everybody to reach into your pockets, pull out something green. I'll give y'all a second. Pull out something green. Everybody in here, pull out something green. I want you to put it in the air. If you don't have something green, look to your neighbor and ask them for something green out of their pocket. Everybody in here, we need y'all to put something green up in the air. And your black power fists, as if we supporting this community. Put something green. Come on, y'all. I know y'all got it. If you ain't got it, look to your neighbor. Look to your friend behind you, in front of you. We all a family in here. Something green. If it's $1, $5, if you want to slide that $100 bill in there now, it's okay. If you had a whole lot of ones in your pocket and you just ain't want to count them, it's okay. Put something green out. Now I want you to wave it. We're going to wave away this white supremacist mind state, as Dick Gregory was saying. We're going to wave it away. We want you to pass it into these buckets. This bucket's right here supporting our future. So right now we want to continue. You can drop it in now. You can drop it in later on if you just didn't want to, put yourself on the spot like that. It's okay. We understand. Some of us are doing better than others, so we got to continue to support each other. So we're going to go out here. We're going to support the vendors as well. We got food, we got books, we got jewelry out here. We want to make sure everybody has a good time. We're going to come back in 10 minutes so we can continue hearing Baba Dick Gregory. Everybody give a big hand for yourselves. Give a big hand for yourselves. Okay, and if you go out here to the right in this hallway over here, if you want to get your book signed, Dr. Africa and Baba Dick Gregory will be signing books. All right? So I'll see y'all again in 10 minutes.
Provide information for inspiration for the purpose of elevation. Do we agree that black people need information? Black people definitely need to be elevated, right? Because the first place the revolution must take place is in our minds, right? In our minds. So our people out there, they doing what they know. They practicing basic European culture is what our people are practicing right now. So we got to teach them African-centered consciousness right now. What we want to do is, many of you bought some raffle tickets, right? So, you want to check your raffles. If your last number is ending in 056, check your raffle ticket. Okay, what's your name, sister? Miss Johnson? Okay, Miss Johnson, you win a book by either Dr. Africa or Baba Dick Gregory. Clap it up for sister. We'll get, which one you want? Okay, by Dick Gregory. The second one, if you lost that time, you got another chance. 023. Zero, 2, 3. Going once. Twice. 0, 2, 3. All right. 058. You got 023? Okay. All right. Congratulations. Clap it up for the brother. Then you get your choice of either book, okay? All right, we get that to you before the end of the night. But let's get ready for part two. Let's bring up our Baba Dick Gregory, give it up. Give it up.
All right, thank you, babe. Okay, fine. Take that box. Thank you much. Let me again say we thank and praise God. And let's have another thanks for the folks that put this together, because it's information. Thank you. Let me say to those of you who have come here, whenever you go to a place like this, you owe it to the folks that didn't come to bring a tape recorder and tape or see to it that the brothers and sisters is taping and selling it. Because information, when you hear it one time, it don't mean anything. It's exciting when you hear it over and over and over, and then you see things. Dan Rather, who used to anchor the news on CBS, owns a farm with Donald Rumsfeld in New Mexico, so how can he give me fair news? NBC is owned by General Electric, and if you had General Electric stock, about 98% of your profits come from war materials. ABC is owned by Walt Disney, and all the manuals that the military use for the soldiers is printed by Walt Disney. So you don't have no choice but to find out outside ways, and I'm telling you, this thing is moving fast now, because they got a machine in here. How many of y'all have heard the story that Lincoln is nice, it's bop, 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 but he had no choice but to free the slaves because the machines was coming in and was going to pick the cotton? Huh? Well, they got machines. They got a machine can do brain surgery, a robot, and it's impossible for it to make a mistake. So here's a bad brain surgeon in America makes $6 million a year. In 5 or 6 years, they won't be able to get insurance. I was in Helsinki last year. If we was in Helsinki tonight and went to dinner, lunch, or breakfast, you don't see no humans. You walk into that restaurant and everything is taken care of by computer and machines. It cooks your food, takes your order, delivers you your drink, and this is where this is going. And if you into this whole thing with your thought pattern, you can feel they're getting ready to kill everybody. Those that they can kill. And so when you look and see where this thing is going, and I just thank God for the NAACP. When you think about the NAACP, been on this line for 97 years. Can you imagine what it's like now, what it had to be like 97 years ago? I mean, just think about that for a minute. I mean, they would kill you then and didn't even. Matter of fact, the people who were supposed to make the rest was probably the ones doing the killing. And when you think about what this movement brought, you know, it's hard to believe. Close that door back there for me, will you please? It's hard to believe that Dr. King, he wasn't born into no civil rights movement. Dr. King never got into the movement until Rosa Parks, and they came and got him and embarrassed him to get into the movement in 1956. He was killed in 1968. He did all that in 12 years. Huh? That's almost impossible. Huh? Just think about that. All over the world, everybody knows King in the movement. He was just here in that movement 12 years. Huh? And everything you see now that's happening happened out of that movement. And And if you have a picture of Dr. King, like on Ebony or Jet magazine, about 200 years from now, that picture be worth over $1 million. The desk, we used to laugh at King. He had this old raggedy desk at SCLC, and sometimes he'd be in there sleep. That desk right now, some niggas done hid it, I know where it is. That desk right now is worth $30 million. Oh, raggedy desk. That's how this man is growing around the world. Huh? And so 200 years from now, it'd be hard for your children's children to believe that you was here and you don't know nothing about that movement. Huh? Your movement. Huh? And so when you stop and think about, I remember 45 years ago, I'm running down there in Mississippi with Stokely and Rap. And then in a little while, all the tricks is going to come out. Huh? That Eldridge Cleaver and the Black Panthers and blah, blah, blah. Eldridge Cleaver and Huey Newton wasn't nothing but government agents who they got them off the streets selling drugs. How many of y'all in here know that? Anybody know that? Huh? I mean, ask yourself a question. Who in their right mind would get on TV and say, kill the white racist pig police unless they wanted every white cop when he see a black man to take his gun out? That's human nature. And nobody saw through that because we were so busy wanting somebody to talk nasty to white folks. How many of y'all, you older folks, remember the Mau-Maus in Africa? Didn't y'all ever see the movies about the Mau-Maus? Oh, they was killing. The Mau-Maus ain't never killed over 3 white folks. The British intelligence put the Mau-Mau together and got that thug punk Jomo Kenyatta to front it for him. That's why your heart got to be pure. Oh, and niggas coming up talking that old crazy talk. And then they gonna decide who your heroes are, and the heroes is the thugs they got to trick you. Huh? Look at that famous picture of Malcolm X shot and the brother leaning over him. He was a New York undercover cop. And to this day, I will never know how Malcolm let this nigga be the head of his security. Huh? So when you stop and think about Thurgood Marshall was a government agent. And we had to get it under the Freedom of Information Act. And then when we confront the family with it, they said, well, he was working for the FBI. He's working for the FBI when niggas couldn't even belong. He wasn't an FBI agent, huh? And they said, well, he gave information to the FBI because he wanted to prove to the FBI there was no communists in the civil rights movement. But how many niggas died because of those reports he was sending in? And this is what I'm telling y'all now. You can't run out here with that game in your head because you setting yourself up for the next trick. Huh? Alex Haley ain't never wrote a book in his life. Alex Haley came out of naval intelligence. In the book Malcolm, and a bunch of lies on a page 122, they got me telling Malcolm about Elijah's women. He didn't write Roots. He didn't write Malcolm. The white boy, senior editor, Playboy magazine, Murray Fisher. Now, in the order of time, let me do this. If you remember when Alex Haley died, Now remember, Malcolm, the book, Roots, the book, the TV, the movie, to this day, it'll do about $15 million a year royalty. Do any of y'all remember when Alex died, they had to auction off his farm to pay his bills? Huh? Don't you know if you got royalty money, the dumbest lawyer in the planet got enough sense to attach your royalties? And look, the reason I'm telling you this is once you get all that old craziness in your heart, they can come up and trick you. They can come up and run some game. I'm taking on this shit. We need to kill these white folks. And they put a little group together. That's what they did to them niggas down in Florida. Remember, we woke up one day and they busted all of them. They couldn't even afford to have a cell phone. And it was news all over the world. And you got to know this when your children come home talking all that old crazy talk, what they're going to do, what they're going to do. Please. Saddam Hussein have always worked for us. And if y'all are crazy enough to think that thing they got in jail is Saddam Hussein, you're a fool. Why would this man, who they told us and stole trillions of dollars, you don't have to know how brilliant he was, just the fact that what he was able to keep that old raggedy country together. Why would he stay there? I mean, are you crazy? He would stay there? And then when they caught him for 2 weeks, they showed him looking in his head. Y'all remember that? What were they looking for? Lice. Lice can't live in the desert. If you get lice in your head now, the doctor would tell you to wash your hair with hot water. Now, what do you have to do? Go to school? No. Just flush that crap out. Huh? Flush all that game out. And be part of your liberation. Nelson Mandela walked out that jail because of us. Huh? But they had to take him back to jail. Any of y'all in the room know about that? Huh? You know? They had to take him back to release him. But I don't have to tell you that. You saw something with Nelson Mandela that wasn't right. When they forgave all them white folks that been killing niggas for 100 years, went in there Soweto and just shot our children down in school like they was rabbits, and they forgave them, but this nigga couldn't forgive Winnie? And y'all didn't see through that? You don't need no genius. You don't need, this boy is so filthy that all you got to do is just focus for a second. And get rid of all your hate and your meanness and enjoy yourself. Huh? Enjoy yourself. Go to bed mad, wake up mad. Like, who cares? Like I said, when I'm going down there in Mississippi, I'm so sure I'm going to be killed. But the great thing now, I went anyway. Huh? You say, white folks say, well, Greg, what about your wife and family? What about them? I was in the military. Wasn't no war going on. I didn't have a wife or a family. But had I had a wife and a family and had been a war going on, and that white boy say, run up that hill, soldier, and take it, I'd have went up the hill. I wouldn't have said, what about my wife and family? And I can't believe you black men, a bunch of punks. You go all over the world killing for this cracker. And don't worry about your family. Then come home and won't liberate your mama. You got to be some kind of fool. Huh? And the reason we catching so much hell now is you ain't nothing but a bunch of thugs and hoodlums. What's a thug? Cutthroat. Y'all heard that expression before? Well, so-and-so cutthroat. Don't mean actually taking the knife. It means working against you. Thug, assassin, or assassin helper. So y'all can sit up in here with all your black stuff. I saw so much black stuff out there, I thought I was in Africa. But I can walk to your neighborhood tonight or tomorrow, and little punk nigger dope pushers with no gun is standing on the corner in your community selling dope, and you don't know you a thug. Nobody in the world would let that happen. The Italians, mafia that bring it in, the CIA that bring it in, won't let you stand on their corner. And then it get worse than just the dope being sold. Grandma got to go past them niggas to go get her prescription filled. Y'all hear me, listen to me. Grandchildren got to walk past them and got to peacefully coexist. Grandma's speaking to a thug because she got to peacefully coexist to walk there, because you punks that'll go all over the world got children in Iraq now, but your own neighborhood ain't safe for grandma, and you think you son of you ain't nothing but a thug and a hoodlum and a punk. And those of y'all that don't was too coward. You ran. You can't get away from it. Once you run, they know you're scared. There's something wrong. And y'all don't seem to know it. Just because you can yell at your lady or scream at your man and make your children go to bed when they get ready, what's that mean? You ain't free? Somewhere we can turn this thing around overnight. It's moving that fast, y'all. And I'll be honest with you, I'd rather go to church and listen to the most vulgar gangster rap in church than hear you niggas sing Amazing Grace. Do you know how filthy that song is? Do you know people all over the world laugh at you? And the sad part about it, most of you don't know John Newton wrote that song. How many of y'all know that? He was a drug, a slave trader that would make Hitler look like an altar boy. Came out of a house where his daddy was a preacher. So he knew about repentance, although he had denied the church. And then he got caught out on one of his pleasure boats. Got caught out on a pleasure boat. And the storm came up. Y'all know the story, someone? Make Katrina look like a picnic. And he fell on his knees and said, God, oh Lord, let me repent, forgive me, don't let me die. And the storm ceased. And he was so grateful, he wrote that song. And you niggas sitting up here talking about forgive a wretch like, you don't even know what a wretch is. He say forgive a wretch like me. Can you imagine if that boy's mama would have been a whore and as notorious as he was, and God saved her, and she write a song talking about thank God for forgiving a hoe like me, and your black mama sitting up in church singing forgive a hoe like me. What kind of fools are y'all? I go all over the world. I go to China, check out the Christian community. Jesus looked Chinese. Go to Africa, India, Jesus looked Indian. Go to Japan, go to Brazil, Jesus looked Brazilian. Come back home to America and go in the black community to a black church, and Jesus is a white man, and you wonder what's wrong with your children, you nigga. Huh? Huh? Christ got 12 disciples. Christ born in a place where it ain't nothing but niggas. And he got 12 disciples. He didn't only pick European, he picked 11 Englishmen. Where names like that? Peter, Paul, Matthew. Where it come from over there? All 11 of them is white boys except the nigga that killed Christ. He an Arab Jew. Judah. And you put that crap down on your children and wonder why these niggas are so crazy? Huh? I go all over the world. The moon stays the same color. The sun stays the same color. If I went to China and the sun was yellow, then I'd expect me a black sun when I get back home. Huh? All these lies, Columbus discovered America. The punk got lost. How can you discover something that's already occupied? Where was the Indians? Huh? Let me say, see, I take it personal. If you can discover a country that's already occupied, then I can walk out here tonight and discover your car on the parking lot and take it. Shut up, get in the back seat and teach me Thanksgiving. Huh? Huh? One of the big problems I had with Reggie, that was at Harvard Yard when Bob Marley wanted me to do a concert with him. I told him I couldn't. I don't respect him. And then we met, and he's a beautiful brother, and we kind of ironed it out. But my problem with him was, nigga, how can you have one of the fine minds on the planet? All over the world, people know who you are, and you do a song praising buffalo soldiers, niggas. They were sent up in the plains to wipe out the buffalo, to starve the Indians to death, and you think them niggas was heroes? You gotta be some kind of fool, boy. And then you got these little punk thug niggas that come out your belly that you groom them up to be athletes like white folk groom cattle. And then let them play with the Washington Redskins. And our Indian brothers and sisters keep saying, that's derogatory. You got your children going to high school and college named after Indians, but an Indian couldn't go there, or Indian couldn't be president of college, and out of all the suffering you've been through, you don't understand theirs? You know where the word redskin come from? The federal government passed a law and said a good Indian is a dead Indian, and we got a bounty on them. And then white folk killed so many Indians, the government said, wow, we ain't got no place to put all these bodies, so just bring in their heads. That's where the Indian head nickel is a symbol of. They brought in so many Indian heads, they said, we ain't got no place to put these heads. I tell you what, when y'all kill them, just bring in a little hair. And then white folks started scalping white folks. And then the government said, as of 12 o'clock tomorrow, the only hair we're going to pay for it got to have a little red skin hooked to it. That's where that word came from. And they got a damn, and them crackers and them niggas don't see nothing wrong with it. And y'all run around talking all that old red skin stuff. You pay for that one day. Or let me put it simple. They just sold the Redskins 3 years ago to some white boys in New York. They paid $800 million. I was hoping the Indians would take some of that casino money and outbid them for $900 million. and then change the name of the team to the nigger honkies, and you and white folks be acting a fool. Huh? Huh? We come a long ways. The sad part about it, most of y'all don't know that because the New York Times or the Baltimore Sun ain't going to tell you. But it's in here. And when you start walking that road right, you protected. Can't no dog bother you, no bear bother you. Huh? Because you are the one. Not this way. My mother never denied I was her child. She just said, you can't come in this house looking like that. And that's all that's all we're talking about. Boy, Martin Luther King, I was there. Huh? My commitment was way before I met him. The worst day I ever had in my life. And some of y'all check this out with some of your older relatives. It was not in Mississippi. It was right here in this town. Any of y'all know the story of what happened to me at the jail? When I came here, all the penitentiaries in this state were segregated. I come here with a $5,000 gig, and some people got in touch with Mr. Gregory. They want to know, would you come over and entertain the inmates in the state penitentiary? I said, sure. So I go there, and I'm getting ready to walk out on stage, and Warden and I are talking, and I look out, I see all the black folks sitting over here, and the white people over here. So I said to the Warden, I said, why did not sit? He said, oh, Mr. Gregory, do you know all the state jails are segregated? I said, well, I don't work segregated audiences. He said, well, you know, they jail, no, you don't hear me. He said, we got a problem. All the inmates are sitting in that auditorium right there waiting for you. If you don't come out, there'll be a ride. I said, I don't mind coming out, but I'm going to ask them to integrate. Miss Gregory, if you ask them to integrate, there'll be a ride. I said, wait a minute. If I don't work a segregated audience, there'll be a ride. And if I do work it, by making them integrate, there'll be a ride. So I said, give me that mic. And I took the mic out on stage, and they clapped. Black woman, hey, Greg. Hey. I said, shh. I said, I just finished talking to your warden, and your warden just told me that I didn't know the jail was segregated. And the warden told me if I didn't do the show, y'all would ride, and it'd be deaf. And said if I asked y'all to integrate, it would be a ride. I said, I got a wife and some children. And I never thought I wouldn't get back home to see them. But let me tell y'all something. If I don't do the show, that white boy said y'all gonna ride and kill folks. And if I ask you to integrate, which is the only way I do it, I said, let me make a deal with you. I'm going to ask you black folks and white folks to integrate this prison. But wait a minute, integrate this audience. But I'm going to come down and sit on the front row to die with you. And I went down. And they screamed and hollered and clapped, and they integrated. I got up and did the show, and the next day they integrated all the penitentiaries in this state. Huh? You start out with a principle, and you start out willing to make eternal sacrifice. Huh? That's what this thing is about. And that's how you can sit here comfortable now, because a handful of black folks and a handful of decent white folks say, kill me. I'm not going to tolerate no more of your craziness. Huh? And because of Dr. King, who died, and had it not been for him and his death, you couldn't go to Orlando, to Disneyland, because you wasn't accepted. And King's is the cause of you being able to go to Disneyland. And you black folks is so nasty and low down. You have been to Disneyland, but ain't never been to King's grave. And it's in the same direction. Huh? Hear me? You could stop off there, nigga, on the way down to take your damn children to see a rat. A rat. And you wonder what's wrong with them niggas? You. A rat. That you couldn't even get there without that man leaving his family. I was with Coretta right before she died. Ain't died from no cancer. She died from a broken heart. Huh? Them silent tears. Coretta was not only ended up a vegetarian for the last 12 years, Reggie, she ate nothing but raw food, remember? I remember I met her in the hospital. She had 3 strokes, and I was at the hospital with her, and I said, she couldn't talk, and that was hard, because me and her used to like to talk. We'd laugh, and she loved to hear me make her laugh. I'm sitting in the hospital now, and I see her eyes. And she never could see it without her makeup on. She put her stuff on. She's sitting there, can't move, can't talk, got her stuff on. So I got ready to leave. I leaned over to her and said, when you come out of here, me and you go and drink some whiskey, because whatever this stuff you doing, it ain't working. And I didn't know then it would be the last time I'd see her. And she raised them children by herself. Huh? Didn't want no other man, nobody around her. That's how she felt about those children. Huh? And everything opened up because of that. One day, the #1 tourist attraction in the world will be King's grave. King's grave. See, when you're dealing with hate, it takes time. You know. If me and you, brother, was standing outside of the Ford Theater when Lincoln got shot, and when they brought Lincoln's body out, if some blood would have splashed on your shirt and my shirt, and I went home and washed my shirt, and you kept your shirt from way back there, 1863, and today with DNA, your ancestors go down the basement and pull that shirt out, and with DNA they can prove that's Lincoln's blood. They ain't got a Rembrandt picture that could sell for as much as that shirt. Huh? See what time will do? The same folks that killed Christ, hey, let's kill him. And now they're looking for the robe that he wore. Well, you wasn't there with Christ, and if you was, you couldn't get a part of it. This is your movement. Huh? This is yours. And King and them, do you realize that that movement, 98% of everybody that led that movement had Reverend in front of their name before they had PhD? I was there. I didn't hear King talk about love when the cameras was on and they said, kill him, Uncle. See, I'll tell that. No, King wasn't like that. He really talked about forgiveness, huh? And I thought them niggas was crazy. Until I'm running down there in Mississippi, knowing I'm gonna die. And went anyway. and didn't die. Did I ever think then I could stand here tonight and tell you how right they was? Today, head of the Mississippi State Troopers, fast you got to get past the sister. That's what they knew about love and forgiveness. And then, when the Civil Rights Bill come through, they forgot to put for niggas only. And so everybody benefited. Let me tell you who you are. 40 years ago, a white woman couldn't fly a commercial airplane. 40 years ago, a white woman couldn't be a mechanic at the airport. 40 years ago, the only thing a white woman could do on an airplane in America was be a stewardess, and she had to look like something off the center page of Playboy magazine. Hear this movement, then you know who you are. 40 years ago, a black man couldn't fly an airplane commercially. 40 years ago, a black woman couldn't be a stewardess. And the only white woman could be a stewardess. Said it looked like something off the center page of Playboy magazine. And because of this movement, anytime y'all get on a plane today and see an old, short, fat, ugly white woman stewardess, we got that job for her. Not her white brother, or her white daddy, or her white husband, not that white boy that think he loved her so much. We liberated that nasty wench. And the wench ain't even said thanks. But my mama told me it ain't necessary to say thanks. When you say thanks, that's just good manners. This boy ain't never had good manners. A woman couldn't be a cop in America. And because of us, women head police departments, head homicide sections, head narcotics sections. That's us. That's who you are and ain't participating in it. And you think you gonna get through that door? And it don't bother me. I would let you in anyway, but I don't make the law. You're not coming in here looking like that. And all that old cute, pretty shit you got on, that don't mean nothing when you get ready to walk through the big door. How long? How long? Somewhere, when you understand who you are, and then they won't tell you all about personal responsibility. And I hear these ignorant niggas on TV talking about personal responsibility. We got to stop blaming the victim. And you know that sound good to some of you niggas? Because you crazy. Let me break down victim for you, and maybe you never do that no more. If we go back there and lock that door, and all the men leave, and all you women stay here, and we send some brothers in to take your purse and all your jewelry, and then we leave. And we come back in here, and y'all just sitting quietly like it didn't happen. And niggas get up on stage and say, we're so glad y'all ain't stupid enough to blame the people that did it. We're glad you act like a good victim. You blame yourself. No, nigga, y'all took my stuff, and I'm gonna get it back, or we gonna rumble. And then tell y'all about personal responsibility. Hey, white boy, have I ever lynched anybody? Have I ever got a boat and went and stole some folks and brought them to work my farm? Have I ever sent your children to bad schools with teachers who ain't never been to school, just a certificate? I was there. St. Louis, Missouri. I went to a school that was 125 years old, been built for white folk for 500. When I got there, we had 8,000 students. Some of my classes had 130 students. By the time the teacher tried to check the roll, class was out. Huh? And I couldn't say nothing about it because my mama wasn't saying nothing about it. Personal responsibility? White boy said that you can't get married, boy. It was against the law. So me and her jumped over the broom. Huh? Who needs your law? Huh? I've been married 47 years, and some of y'all sitting here and make my little shit look like child's play. Huh? Personal responsibility? If they called a white person, woman or man, teaching you how to read and write, they killed them. And today, I like you got children, they ain't got a book at Harvard, Yale, or MIT, or Morehouse. My children can't read from front to back. It didn't work. Huh? And they tell me about personal responsibility. And that little thug, idiot, punk, Bill Cosby, I trained that boy. That boy become a trillionaire because of me. I'm the one who introduced that nigga that night when he went crazy. I don't worry about him. I know that nigga. I worry about y'all that thought that nigga was sounding good. Huh? That woman he was talking about, Jesus' mama qualified to be her. Mary couldn't read or write. Mary never been to school. Mary had one name. This nigga talking about name your children Tamika. No, y'all can laugh now, but there's some niggas in this room that thought he was making sense. And a whole lot of niggas in the civil rights movement, because that nigga had big bucks, would let him use their stage as a... That nigga still crazy enough now to go and defend that crap. Huh? The nigga crazy, he ain't mad at us. Look, that woman he was talking about, that's Clarence Thomas' mama. She couldn't read or write. She worked a hotel and a restaurant washing dishes to get this. And you can say what you want to say about Clarence Thomas, you'd be right. But that's the only nigga on Supreme Court was produced out of the belly of a woman that Cosby was talking about. Huh? But where's your children, Cosby? What are they doing? Huh? What did you ever do, nigga, but tell some jokes? Huh? And then you got mad because you made enough money. And NBC was for sale. And you say, I want to buy NBC. And you ran into white supremacy. What did that nigga say? General Elector said, no, that nigga, and they killed his son. And if they killed his son, they say, nigga, you can't do no more Jell-O commercials. Every time you turn on a channel, that nigga had white students sitting around eating Jell-O off that nigga's drawers. They loved it. And he can't get a tapioca commercial. Because the ones he thought loved him. Let me tell y'all something. That car his son was in, huh? If you get a flat, you push one button, and it jacks itself up and fills the tires up. Huh? What'd you say? Whoa. Yeah. You hear me? That's what my baby son, financial analyst for the city of New York. He can't tell them white folks how to spend $34 billion. They can't touch it till that nigga analyze it. And one day I'm in Paris. What was it? The Galata fight, Riddick Bowe Galata. Did y'all see that in Madison Square Garden? You remember when it broke into a riot? I'm sitting over there, man, looking, laughing. I said, damn, that looked like my son, them cops beating up. So I called Leo. I said, he didn't have HBO. I said, baby, I swear to God, look like Yoey getting his ass whooped. She said, Greg, where you see that? I said, on HBO. I So she just a minute, somebody's calling. And she said, yeah, one of his buddies that went to Phillips Academy with him, he's in Tokyo. He said he saw you getting, Greg, can you get out of Paris tonight? Me? No, I ain't coming out of Paris. What do you mean? Oh, he can handle himself. Your daughter is the lead prosecutor in Brooklyn. Let her go sneak over there and check him out. Well, that's when we know both my sons was arrested. Now, I'll be honest, I got one boy. Whatever the police said that nigga did, he probably did. So we don't even, you know. When that nigga leave, we just say, got bail money? If not, you know, call your mother. Let me tell you something. My baby son got one of the bright minds on the planet. He determined the police's budget. When they saw him that night, they didn't see this, they saw nigger. So y'all play all your little games you want. Think you can put the right outfit on, the right hairdo, talk the right way. In this country, you're a nigger. And Condoleezza Rice proved that. She had more PhDs than the president's whole cabinet. They call that wench Condi. But they never called Janet Reno Janny. They never called Madeleine Albright Maddie. And Henry Kissinger's a thug. They got a murder warrant out for him in the Hague court. That's why he can't leave this country. He'd be arrested. But they call him Dr. Henry Kissinger. They call her Condi. They got a soda pop they call Dr. Pepper. And it's darker than her. And you better ask for it by its full title. You go to the store tonight and say, give me one of them peppers. They give you a chili pepper. I know some of y'all know. How many of y'all about 4 months ago saw when Condi was on TV and slipped and referred to the president as her husband? How many of y'all? Yeah, let me raise your hand. Yeah. You said, yeah. The British papers went crazy. We should have, our wife go crazy, man. Laura caught them in the White House. She ain't with him now. They separated. She lives in the, what'd you say? Mayfair. Who said that? Yeah, the Mayfair Hotel. But they'll leave, they'll get on the plane together. One thing about a sister, all sisters got attitude. They say, well, look, you would like for you and your husband to go, no, I ain't going nowhere that nigga. Take that black bitch. Yeah. Oh, no, white folks are funny. They say, no, I just, and they'll defend each other. Oh, Jack the Ripper's mama said, no, Jackie just got in with a bad crowd. He's an altar boy. No, we knew he was playing with knives when he was a little boy, but he'd never do that. And so the guy said, well, thank you very much, Miss Ripper. But the white daddy told him point blank, that was my boy. Them hoes better be glad it was a foggy night. He'd have killed them all. So I say to you, the same energy See, I had 10 children, so I don't never talk when babies be talking because they sensitive. They might be smelling smoke. You know? See, babies got a lot of sense. You sit there and smell smoke, you say, I smell something like smoke. When have you ever smelled something like smoke that wasn't smoke? And babies, they been moving their little fingers. You ever see how they move their fingers? I look at that and when they start, give me some lottery numbers. I was there, and what changed this whole country and the planet was just ordinary black folks like you. I was there. I ain't talking about something I read in a book, huh? And if you could be at one of them rallies or look at those rallies, they look just like you. Huh? Except they weren't afraid, and those that were afraid was willing to die. And y'all live in this town here with that vicious John Hopkins down the street that's using y'all as a laboratory, and you niggas don't see that. 96% of black folks in Baltimore got syphilis or gonorrhea. And y'all don't see it. That's that nasty hospital down there doing the same thing Hitler did with the Jews. Black men in Baltimore have the highest drug addiction of any black men in America. Bigger than New York, Chicago, LA, and you never say, how can a little town like, what are y'all doing? And then a black woman did something that most of y'all is too thuggish and ungodly to do. You was with me that day we went to the funeral, remember, of the black woman. They went out and told them dope pushers, you can't sell dope on this corner. I'm a poor black woman. I don't have the money to buy a new house. I got to raise my children here. And the nigga came by that night and threw a firebomb in the house, but it didn't kill her. They arrested that nigga, and 2 weeks later, he threw it in a white woman's house. He'd have been on his way to the electric chair. 2 weeks later, he came back to that same house, threw it in there, and burned her up and her babies. And y'all can still live in a town without being outraged. And then they had the funeral. And I came back from Europe. You picked me up. And we went to the funeral. You know what it's like to be walking up the hill on your way to a church and see 6 coffins, 6 hearses. Because at that time her husband hadn't died. And then the